Agriculture on the move.
Agricole mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Hello everyone and welcome to the program Agriculture on the Move. My name is Philip Sidney, your host. Today we are discussing a very important point. We have brought this to the fore before and it is necessary that we discuss it every year. And I'm speaking about pesticide use. It is used every day once we are involved in agricultural production, and we need to use pesticides right. It can be deadly if used in the wrong manner. And here with me to discuss this topic is Mr. Cletus Alexander, who is the Registrar for Pesticides and Toxic Chemicals in the Ministry of Agriculture. Welcome to the program, sir.
Good afternoon and thanks for having me. Well, we not only deal with agrochemicals, but we deal with chemicals for structural pest control and also the pesticides that we use in the households as well.
Wow.
Like the BOP
Okay,
and so on.
Great. Okay. We'll come to that in a moment. But to regularize the pesticide use in St. Lucia, there is a board, I think, right?
Yes.
So tell us about that board. What's the purpose of that board?
Well, the pesticide board is an integrated board. We have members from various organizations like the Customs, Medical and Dental Association. We have reps from Sustainable Development, Ministry of Agriculture, Environmental Health, Ministry of Health, and the Ministry of Commerce. But the pesticide board is the regulator of pesticides and toxic chemicals in St. Lucia. We register pesticides, we issue pesticide permits, which is the import permit, and we were supposed to be the ones policing the pesticide use in terms of structural pest control and also issuing licenses to all the organizations involved in pesticide use in St. Lucia.
So in the question of importation of chemicals, what's the process? I want to import a chemical. What do I do?
Well, before a pesticide is imported, first of all, you have to know that that pesticide is registered in St. Lucia. Without the registration, the pesticide cannot be registered. So if the pesticide is registered, you get an import permit to bring in the pesticide in St. Lucia. You must have an import permit to import a pesticide.
Okay, so without an import permit, I can't?
You cannot.
So, okay, so there's a new chemical on the market. How do you all know about that chemical if I decide I want to bring it in?
Well, as I said, if you want to bring in the pesticide, you have to register the pesticide. Now, to register the pesticide, you must have certain information on this particular pesticide. You must have what is called the MSDS sheet for the pesticide, which is the Material and Safety Data Sheet for the pesticide. Now, you must have an authentic pesticide label from the manufacturer, and you must have an application form. So when you have those information, the pesticide is going to be reviewed and it will be taken to the board for registration. And after registration, you're going to be issued with a registration certificate and the pesticide will be on the approved pesticide list for St. Lucia. Now again, there are issues in terms of persons smuggling pesticides.
Exactly.
Now if we do monitoring and we realize a pesticide is being sold without the necessary import permit, without the necessary registration, we'll ask whoever is selling the pesticide to take the pesticide off the shelf, sorry.
If they don't, what happens?
Well, by law, we're supposed to get a customs, because it means if the pesticide is not registered, it means you bring in the pesticide in illegally. And in the absence of a pesticide inspector, we can go through the route, go in for the customs, and get a customs officer to confiscate the product on the shelf.
Okay. Okay. Moving forward, one of the problems we face in St. Lucia, consumers are very, very concerned about chemical usage in the fruits and vegetables. They are mindful, they read a lot, they are mindful of the use of pesticides. What will you say to the public in terms of the safe use of pesticides and of course the consumption of vegetables, knowing fully well it has been used, chemical has been used during the gestation period?
In terms of crop production and safe use of pesticide, for every pesticide there is a pesticide label, which is the law. And on the pesticide label, you will see all the information in terms of how to use the pesticide, the rate of application of the pesticide. You will see a color band on the pesticide indicating how toxic the pesticide is. So in St. Lucia, we have a serious issue in terms of the indiscriminate use of pesticides. We have a lot of persons using pesticides who cannot read and understand the pesticide label.
That's right.
So this is a very important issue. You may find yourself in a situation where the pre-harvesting interval, example, every pesticide is supposed to have a pre-harvesting interval, which is the time, the interval between the use of the pesticide and harvest. So in the absence of somebody policing the farmers, and that is not going to happen because you will not be able to reach on the particularly all farmers or persons in the households using chemicals. You will not be able to police them. So it is a very critical issue for us. And in the absence of persons doing what is called the MRLs, which is the maximum residual limits for pesticide, because every pesticide is supposed to have a maximum residual limit, because that is the issue with pesticide. Once you use pesticide, there is an inherent risk in using pesticide. Once you use the pesticide, you're going to poison yourself. It is possible that you're going to poison yourself, and you must have pesticide residues. And where the issue is that for every pesticide as well, there is what is called the ADI, which is the daily acceptable intake for the pesticides. Because every pesticide, you will have a daily acceptable intake, which is the amount, after research has been done on this pesticide, the amount you can consume on a daily basis without any harm happening to you. You can use it 365 days a year. Once it's at that rate, nothing is not going to happen to you. So that's the issue we face in terms of a pesticide board. Policing and the indiscriminate use of pesticide on the farmer, not only the farmer, but the persons using pesticides in the household and for structural pest control.
So is there anything in place, for example, I know, okay, say somebody, a farmer is in the marketing board, and marketing board buys, say, tomatoes, lettuce, and cabbage. The residue on that, are you able to know exactly whether we are at that level or lower?
Well, if you have a lab for testing those products, it can be done. But again, that is after the fact. Even though you go by marketing board or by the market, you do some testing. It means some persons, they have already consumed this particular product. So that is after the fact. But for that information, if you do that in terms of you get the MRLs, you go out, you do the testing, what you can do is advise farmers on the good agricultural practices. Because if you get in high MRLs on crops that are being sold at the supermarkets and by the marketing board and the market, it means good agricultural practices were not adhered to in terms of the pre-harvesting intervals, the rate of application, and so on.
But by your knowledge, do you believe that we're safe in St. Lucia?
You're referring to in terms of pesticide use? Pesticide
use and the consumption of commodities with residue.
No, I have a concern because I'm being frank, because yes, I represent the pesticide board as a pesticide registrar, but as a...
Hold that thought, we'll do for our break, okay? You're watching Agriculture on the Move. Stay tuned, don't go away.
Bio means life. Biodiversity is the variety of life all around us. All plants, animals, and microbes, and the places where they live. We need to protect biodiversity so that we can continue to enjoy all the resources it provides. Fresh air, clean water, food, clothing, shelter, and recreation. Biosafety ensures that we protect biodiversity against any negative impacts of GMOs while using it safely for national development.
For more information on the Biosafety Project and how you can be involved, call 451-8746 or 722-9252. Log on to lc.biosafetyclearinghouse.net or join the mailing list slubiosafety@govt.lc.
Welcome back to the program, Agriculture on the Move. Of course, with me, Cletus Alexander, Registrar of Chemicals here in St. Lucia. We are talking, that point we raised before the break, Cletus, is very crucial. You said you have some concerns, because I have some concerns, and the consumers also have some concerns with the proper agricultural practices, if not adhered to, which can be dangerous down the road. Tell us about this.
Okay. In terms of pesticide use, as a farmer, if you decide to use a particular pesticide on a crop, now remember earlier on I said key is the pesticide label, because on the pesticide label you're going to get all information in terms of what crops the particular pesticide is supposed to be used on. Now again, in the absence of the extension officer or whoever policing the farmer, because most times the farmer cannot read the pesticide label. Yeah. I'm not saying farmers cannot read, but they cannot read and understand the pesticide label. Even professionals sometimes, the kind of jargon you have on the pesticide label, they cannot understand. But the concern is that you use the right pesticide on the right crop. If you do not use the right pesticide on the right crop,
and the right rate,
right, it means you're wasting the pesticide. And then, take for example, there are some systemic pesticides. What I will advise farmers is that in terms of systemic pesticides, why would you use a systemic pesticide on lettuce? Yes, if you use a systemic pesticide, it means that pesticide is going to, it is systemic. The plant is going to absorb this particular pesticide.
In the system of the plant, yes.
So, plus you have some systemic pesticides that is going to stay in some crops for weeks. Now, take for example, lettuce. Lettuce is just a six-week crop. So why use a systemic pesticide on a 6-week crop? Close to harvesting and so on. So these are some of the issues that people using the right pesticide, the right amount at the right time. So that is where the reading of the label, I will stress on this, the pesticide label. You have to be able to understand and read the pesticide label. If you cannot read the pesticide label, call an extension officer to read the pesticide label
and guide
you as to what crop this particular pesticide is supposed to be used on, what disease, what pest that you go into. Why use a pesticide that is not effective on the biting and chewing insect?
Correct.
Why use a pesticide on a particular disease when you know that pesticide, you have no idea whether that pesticide is going to control this particular pathogen?
But they may sell you a wrong chemical too. It's supposed to be for fungus and it's an insecticide.
Well, that's another issue that we face. If you go to the agribusiness man, the farmer just go to the farmer see a problem. The farmer is going to run to the agribusiness man for a particular pesticide. But the person selling the pesticide to the farmer, does he or she know
exactly
what particular problem the farmer has? So it is pesticide use, while it is an age-old practice, people have been using for pesticide. Literature indicates that people have been using for pesticides for more than 10,000 years. But from Roman civilization to 1949, it was only organic products that were being used. But from 1939, after the Second World War, we started using those toxic chemicals.
And they still need to use them, right?
It will be impossible to wake up tomorrow morning and tell people that they're not supposed to use pesticide. Because the trend is to use the pesticide during seed production. You can coat the seed with the pesticide, and then that farmer will not have to use that particular pesticide anymore. But as I said, systemic pesticides, they tend to contaminate the crop. Plus, some of them are persistent in the soil for a very long period of time.
I'm hearing about the updates of the list of pesticides in St. Lucia. Tell us about this.
Well, presently in St. Lucia, we are banning 4 pesticides. Now, in 2019, all the CGPC members, CGPC is basically the grouping of pesticide boards of the Caribbean. That's where all the pesticide registrars meet. Now, in 2019, all of us had to submit our pesticide listing to the FAO for review. So when they reviewed the pesticide list for St. Lucia, we had 16 highly hazardous pesticides. These are pesticides that are capable of causing irreversible harm to human health. We have more pesticides registered than the entire European Union. We have more pesticides registered than Guyana. We have more pesticides registered
You mean
than...
our little St. Lucia?
Yes, more pesticides registered than Jamaica. So it was paramount to take a decision. At the board level, we took the decision that some of those pesticides, highly hazardous pesticides, we were going to phase them out. And last year, we took the decision that we were going to phase out, deregister, malathion.
Yeah.
And malathion may be a probable carcinogen, and it's a broad spectrum insecticide. So why use in 2024 use a broad spectrum pesticide that is going to kill all beneficial as well as the pests that are targeted.
Yes.
Diazenon as well. It may be a probable carcinogen because after research done by the IARC, which is the wing of the FAO, which is basically responsible for research on pesticide, saying that it is a probable carcinogen. Clopyrifos was banned in the United States since 1990.
And we're still using it there?
Especially in the banana sleeves.
Yeah.
But clopyrifos is associated with leukemia in children. And also carbaryl. Research done by the IARC as well is indicating that carbaryl may be a probable carcinogen. So these 4 pesticides, we are not issuing import permits for these pesticides. Now, in terms of the pesticide listing, so far we have delisted over 300 pesticides on the pesticide list. Because remember I told you, we have more pesticides registered than the European Union. And this is a trade issue. So if you trade in with other countries and they realize a small country like St. Lucia using so many pesticides, that is an issue. So we've decided to deregister over 300 pesticides. Of those pesticides, you have pesticides that are highly hazardous, pesticides that are not being manufactured anymore, and some pesticides where the formulation have changed as well. So we basically have a new pesticide listing, an updated pesticide listing for St. Lucia. And that is why we are here trying to tell people that we're trying our best at the pesticide board to make sure that the pesticides that are available for use, that they are safe to human health, safe to the environment, and safe to animal health. Because we have a number of products being used on pesticides on animals as well for ticks. And
so those chemicals, those 4 chemicals, they are off the list.
Off the list. They are, as I said, they all
as we speak. So they are not being used at all.
Since the board took this decision last year to deregister those pesticides. So as we speak, an import permit will not be issued for those pesticides. Okay.
As we about to end, can you have any final words?
Well, what I'll say to persons out there, pesticide, while it may have lots of benefits, but the research is showing now that pesticide is more a disbenefit now than being beneficial to us, because we are not using pesticides properly, and we need to adhere to the pesticide label, because this is a food security issue as well. If you continue to apply the pesticides not adhering to the pre-harvesting interval, it means persons are going to consume whatever product that you're going to produce. Persons are going to consume pesticide, because as I said initially, once you use pesticide, you must have some contamination, crop contamination in terms of also contamination of yourself, because the farmers that we have now, they do not use the protective equipment.
Hold on there. I think they're giving us some more time, so we'll go for another break.
Right.
You're watching Agriculture on the Move. Stay tuned. We'll be back soon.
What's in the food you're eating? Do you really even know? All the chemicals and hormones used to accelerate their growth. All the artificial flavoring, sweeteners and colors too. We consume and we don't spare a thought for the damage that they'll do. No, think about the children. Think about the children. How will we save them? Chemicals and GMOs are not the solution. Use organic and join. Excessive agrochemical use, additives, and genetically modified foods are harmful to health and the environment. Join the good food revolution. Grow, buy, and consume organic. A message from Rise St. Lucia and the Ministry of Sustainable Development with funding from the GEF Small Grants Program, UNDP. The Good Food Revolution.
Welcome back to the program, and thank you for giving me some more time for this important topic. We talking about the regulation of pesticides in this country. Tell us a little more, but elucidate a bit on that.
Well, in terms of the regulations, we have had two consultancies in terms of pesticide regulations in St. Lucia. We had one by Mr. Michael Ramsey, where we went out, we did some field visits, and we visited some of the agri-business places, those places selling agrochemicals. And we had another consultancy sponsored by the MEA Freeze project, where the customs is looking at the trade in highly hazardous pesticides. So what is happening presently, you have a number of persons now importing pesticides via online sales of pesticides, through shop box and so on. So we find a number of situations we had to confiscate those products. Because while this is happening, persons are not adhering to pesticide laws in St. Lucia. They tend to bring in pesticides that are not registered and without the necessary import permit. Even though the pesticide is registered and you do not have an import permit, it means the pesticide will be confiscated as well. Now, under the consultancy with Mr. Michael Ramsey, where he was reviewing the strengths and weaknesses of pesticide legislation in St. Lucia, when we went by the market, if you go by the printry, you see what it is. You see persons selling pesticide without the pesticide labels. You have persons selling rat bait, different colors. If you go, as we speak, if you go by the printry, you'll see persons selling pesticide written in Chinese, Mandarin. So as a regulator, you have to say to yourself, why this is happening? Why in 2024 you have persons selling pesticide in Mandarin in St. Lucia?
True.
Now the issue is, I know that particular pesticide came in without an import permit. Because there is no way I will give an import permit to a pesticide that is not written in English. Now, some of the constraints of the board in terms of the regulation is that by law, you're supposed to have a pesticide inspector visiting all those agribusiness places by the market or wherever pesticides are being sold.
But how are they coming in? How are they coming in St. Lucia via customs if they're not registered?
Well, not only if they are not registered, but written in a foreign language.
A foreign language, yes.
So, as I said, the issue is they may be smuggling. There may be the issue of pesticide smuggling. In St. Lucia, because there is no way a custom officer will allow a pesticide written in Mandarin. So, as a regulator, we need to identify the source. So, if we identify the source, then you will not get those pesticides written in Chinese or Mandarin being sold by the printry. Because if you buy a pesticide written in Chinese, most times those persons cannot read whatever that is on this particular pesticide. So as a regulator, we look into strengthen pesticide legislation. We have assessed the strengths and weaknesses of pesticide registration in St. Lucia. Mr. Ramsey did submit a number of recommendations that very soon at the board level we are going to implement in St. Lucia. Because as I said, the objective is basically to make sure that pesticides that are available in the households, pesticides for structural pest control, the pesticides that they have in the pins, because we regulate pesticide in pins as well, they are safe for use in St. Lucia.
Agrochemicals, especially organic chemicals, which I'm hoping that's what you're trying to push now, as opposed to the rugged, rough chemicals, like the organophosphates and stuff, which I'm hoping that some of it you're banning already. Are you all encouraging the distributors to bring in organic chemicals?
Well, I will not say basically organic chemicals, but pesticides that are less hazardous
Less
to human health.
toxic.
Because even some of the organic products as well, some organic products as toxic as some of those chemicals as well. Take for example, you have in the early 1800s, arsenic. That's a natural product. It was being used. You had a plant called derris, the root of a derris plant. The farm persons at that time, during that time, they were using this particular plant. But if you take this particular plant and you put it in the waterway, it's going to kill all the fish in all the aquatic life in the rivers. Take for example, we have a particular plant,
Yeah, we have one.
jatropha, which is called the metzinier.
Metzinier,
If you take that plant and you put that plant in the waterway, it's going to kill
everything.
So a lot of people have a lot of persons have the view that organic products are not toxic. But organic products some organic products as toxic as the synthetic chemicals as well.
Okay.
So yes, we do encourage persons to bring in pesticides that are less toxic, because at the board level, we're looking at phasing out those highly toxic pesticides that are being used by the farmers. Because as I said, it's a major hazard. The farmers do not use protective equipment. They do not have the equipment to apply some of those pesticides. Take for example, Vidit. Vidit is one of the most toxic pesticides that you have on the approved pesticide listing. Now, to apply Vidit, you were supposed to have a Vidit gun. Every shot, you are supposed to.
It's well calibrated.
It's calibrated 7.5 ml per plant. So in the absence of the Vidit gun, you have farmers now mixing this particular pesticide. They're having a knapsack sprayer, putting the pesticide and adding water. You are more exposed to the pesticide because you have a knapsack sprayer on your back. You have sometimes you have no protective equipment. The machine is not properly calibrated. The machine is leaking. So you can see some of those issues that we are faced with as a pesticide board.
Wow. Final words from you again, sir.
Final words, as I said, pesticide use, while it's an age-old practice, Roman civilizations, thousands of years ago, they used pesticides. And those highly hazardous pesticides, toxic pesticides, we've been using those pesticides for less than 100 years. And we can see the impact of those pesticides on the environment. So we need to go out there and educate farmers about pesticide use. We need to go out there and create outreach. Tell farmers about the irreversible harm that can happen to the environment, to the human body, when we do not use those pesticides properly. As I said, a program like this, I wish we can have that every 3 months.
Yes. I think we need to enlighten the public very regularly on the use of pesticides and, of course, on hazardous chemicals.
Not only pesticides, agrochemicals.
Agrochemicals,
pesticides that are being used in the household. Where you have persons spraying pesticide because they put a little scent in the pesticide, a little odor.
I used to be in that, I like when it's stay in it.
And you sit down and watching television and you spraying a pesticide. Even the paints, some of the paints that we have at home. Christmas, we paint our houses. Even in the paints, we have some of those same herbicides that we're talking about. We have herbicides in paint. And some of the biocides, they are as toxic as well.
We need to have the conversation, in another program again.
Yes, we need to.
So
as soon as possible.
Thank you for being here, my brother, and I continue to do the good work you're doing.
Thanks very much.
You've been watching Agriculture on the Move. Thank you for viewing the program. And remember, if you need more information, please check your extension officer to help you read the label on the containers of the chemicals. It's very, very important. Remember, agriculture is our business. Eat fresh. St. Lucia's best. I'm Philip Sidney saying goodbye again and see you.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.